watching a little bit of Strange Eon's video on Snape Wives and the idea of fiction, reality, religions based on fandom. And it reminds me of things I've seen on magical girl paganism. If you're not involved in the Tumblr pagan community, I'm sort of vaguely involved because I post a lot about Celtic mythology and Norse mythology. And a lot of modern day believers have a lot of very interesting things to say about those. But you run into some interesting stuff. One of the things you run into is magical girl pagans. That is paganism, New Age paganism, that has magical girl iconography. And it's usually very focused on this idea of witches as Sailor Moon ripoffs. I mean, there's a big variety of anime magical girls, and I think most Western audiences have only seen the Dick Sailor Moon dub on VHS 20 years ago, and that is their entire concept of magical girl. I mean, you're obviously not going to get a religion based on Cutie Honey. I mean, I think Cutie Honey is a great, the comic is horrible, the anime was fun, it's a great concept. That's not going to be a religion. Magical girl religion is almost entirely just aesthetics from Sailor Moon and Madoka Magica, with religious statements, a lot of it Wiccan religious statements about the triple goddess and magical girls as servant of the triple goddess, or the idea that magical girls are a non-stereotyped concept of which a popular Tumblr post is, the wizard learned the spell from the magical girl. And the idea that the magical girls are not the anime archetype of female liberation and, Sailor Moon style teenage superheroes. They are a non-stereotyped feminist version of witchcraft, which is removed from all negative misogynistic stereotypes of witchcraft. And magical girlism is therefore reclaiming witchcraft as something feminist. I don't think any of that has any basis in historical fact. Most magical practitioners in reality were men. Most magical practitioners in reality were male Christian priests. New Age pagan movements do not want to accept that most magical practitioners were New Age Christian priests, but most New Age Christian priests, male, middle-aged, old men back in the 1400s, got burned for witchcraft because they were practicing magic. Let's be honest. Isaac Newton was practicing magic. He thought science and the black arts were pretty much the same thing. My own distant cousin, Major Tommy Weir, was burned at the stake for witchcraft. You know what they called him? They called him the Bowhead Saint because he was such a holy Christian and such a great preacher and so committed to Protestant theology. And what was he doing in his spare time? He was conducting divination rituals based on Celtic gods. Most witches were men. Most witches were middle-aged, uninteresting men who were probably misogynistic, probably thought everyone else was going to hell because whatever weird pagan thing they were doing was more Christian than everyone else's. Nobody wants to admit that. It's not interesting. We all like to cling on to the belief that executed witches were really pagan practitioners who had survived thousands of years of persecution in rural England or rural France or rural Germany. It's not happening. The average witch probably looked like Al Gore. Um, yeah. So with that in mind, I can't see Sailor Moon as a feminist take on witchcraft. I mean, the Japanese don't even have the concept we have of paganism and witchcraft. Religion in Japan is so foreign to the ideas of Christianity that the one time anyone became Christian in Japan, they got their head lopped off. And then the whole thing around resurrection became the myth that they were a zombie. I mean, Sailor Moon has nothing to do with Christianity and nothing to do with paganism. Anything in Sailor Moon iconography is based around the Princess Kaguya myth, and only then barely. You'd have better luck getting a magical concept of Kaguya from Toho. Modica Magica. Maybe you can make an argument that there's a paganism adjacent aesthetic there. I mean, it's a cosmic horror show about aliens who suck the souls out of people. I mean, I don't think many pagans think of their gods as aliens who suck the souls out of people. That's very much an Eric von Däniken thing. So no, I don't think there's anything historically viable about magical girls as witchcraft, feminist witchcraft. I don't think there's anything historically there at all. I don't think anything in New Age paganism has a there at all. Modern day druids are not a class of priest bard. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist anymore. See, here's the thing. I don't think magical girls as witches is any more historically inaccurate than druids going to Stonehenge and having initiation rituals. It's all a religion in the sense that the believers believe it. And if the believers believe it, that makes it real. I don't think there's anything... Magical girls and druids are both fiction. Modern druids are fiction, magical girls are fiction. Paganism around these concepts is belief. And if you're like me and you're completely and utterly devoid of belief in the supernatural, even though you write fantasy and watch, bad TV shows about the paranormal, but you don't believe it, then you're stuck with the realization that the average, American Christian's view of Jesus is only slightly more historically accurate than the idea of druids going to Stonehenge and baptizing people, and it makes your head hurt. But I don't think that's not the point. The point is belief. The point is entirely belief. And Christianity has led to a lot of great moral things. The movement of social welfare that created the Democratic Party, which created the modern New Deal, which created Social Security, which created the entire apparatus of liberal democracy, was created by Protestant Christians who embraced the idea of loving our neighbor through helping them through the message of Jesus Christ. And I can be an agnostic Catholic who is baptized and goes to Mass never. And I can still think there's good in Christianity. And I think the girls who believe they are magical girls in a religious sense are empowering themselves. They're empowering themselves. They have created a religious cultural identity that is giving them power. And that's excellent. And the same thing with those druids. You want to go in the woods, you want to pray to Lu or Agama or any other Celtic god, sure. The Celtic otherworld is not limited to Ireland. They will hear your call. So do it. Pray to Madiga, pray to Lu, pray to Buddha, pray to Jesus. As long as you're sincere, I think that's religion.